amezidi kuwa mwaminifu. Tunamshukuru ya kwamba amezidi kutupigania ingawaje kuna kijibaridi. Tunamshukuru ya kwamba amezidi kuwa mwaminifu, and it is another wonderful morning in this current affairs segment ambayo tuko nayo katika Mizpah TV. Good morning Angela.
Good morning.
Natumai uko mzima.
Yeah, I'm good. Happy new month.
Happy new month too. Hatujapatana hii mwezi. Yeah, we thank God because of having this new month.
Yeah, I believe God is faithful. No, ametubeba from January mpaka sasa. Even if it's cold, we thank God.
We really thank God.
Yeah,
wasalimu watazamaji.
A very good morning to you, our viewers, and a very a happy new month to you. We thank God because you are sustained. That is you and me, and you know Mungu mwenye alitubeba, that is from the season ya January, season ya kiangazi, hata season ya baridi. God is going to be faithful. He will carry us through, and thank you so much for tuning in for this segment. Tuko hapa to make sure that you stay updated of what is happening, that is in our country and beyond. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Before we dive into our conversation today and katika magazeti, we are going to have the verse of the day. And our today's verse comes from the book of Psalms chapter 138 verse 8. Psalms chapter 138 verse 8. And the Bible says, "The Lord will vindicate me, your love, Lord, endures forever. Do not abandon the works of your hands." And this is such a powerful verse this morning. Ya kwamba that the Lord will vindicate me, your love, Lord, endures forever. You know God loves us in each and every situation because we are his workmanship. Katika kila jambo ambalo unafanya, just know that God loves you. No matter the challenges that you are having, hata msimu huu wa upanzi, labda hauna kitu ambacho maybe you had planned to do something, but the Bible says that God loves us. Even this morning, as you begin the day, just be encouraged this morning ya kwamba Mungu anatupenda, ya kwamba the Lord your love, Lord, endures forever. He will love us forever, and do not abandon the works of your hands. We are the workmanship of God. Ya kwamba sisi ni kazi ya mikono ya Mungu, so he cannot abandon us. Hawezi tuacha, hawezi ruhusu tukaweze kuangamia, because we are his workmanship. So no matter the challenges that we are going through, God will still come through for us because we are his workmanship. What do you have to say, Angela, about that verse?
I think I'll just say that the verse speaks about that his divine completion, that God finishes what he begins, and the fact that the verse inasema that forever do not abandon the works of your hands. So it's bringing that aspect of divine completion, and it is bringing that aspect here to trust God in that season of uncertainty, when things are not working out, in your desperate moments, ile unajiambia hapa sitamake. You need to trust God in that moment, and it reminds us that our lives are not by accident. It was intentional. God was intentional about creating you and also allowing you to be part of this season. I'll say that's my take.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, thank you for those who are joining us through all our social media platforms, and also thank you for those that are sending their feedback on our SMS line on 0799 200 100, and those that are joining us through all our social media at Mizpah TV Kenya. And this broadcast is brought to you courtesy of Mizpah Prayer Center, a great place for prayer and fasting and spiritual renewal. Mizpah Prayer Center is still open to individuals, ministry teams, and different prayer groups from all denominations. If you want to book your place or your accommodation in Mizpah Prayer Center, you will call the number 0727 766 553. And now I have the Standard.
I have the Daily Nation with me.
And katika gazeti hili la The Standard, we have a very interesting story on our cover page, and it is something that is raising a lot of concerns because recently we've seen there was an issue of accountability facing this government. And katika gazeti hili la The Standard wameweza kuangazia, the headline reads, "Mbadi, yes, I lied." And this is something that is raising a lot of trust issues to this government, because Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi saw the 5 trillion National Infrastructure Fund, popularly known as NIF, existed and told the parliament it was registered. he now admits the fund was never incorporated, not even its name was secured. At the High Court probes the phantom fund meant to mobilize more than Kenya's entire budget. Questions amount over who authorized it, who was misled, and whether the constitutional safeguards were deliberately sidestepped. And this is something ambayo katika gazeti hili wameweza kuliangazia, because we saw that recently when Badi was appeared in the National Assembly, he said that the National Infrastructure Fund existed, but now anasema ya kwamba he lied about that. And now these questions the accountability on his side ama the treasury, because in the statement ambayo iliweza kutoa katika ambayo limeweza kuangaziwa katika gazeti hili, he says that I have since established that the entity has not been incorporated, with only formal steps taken towards incorporation being reservation of proposed National Infrastructure Fund in December 19, 2025. And this is something ambayo imeweza kuangaziwa because when he released that statement about the National Infrastructure Fund, it showed that he was well informed. But now it is something that is developing is that when he confessed that he lied, it is raising a lot of issues on how the government information is being conveyed. And katika gazeti hili on page 4, that story is there, and we see that in official court papers filed recently at Milimani High Court, the treasury boss, without flinching, swore David last week, confessing that he misled Kenyans on the establishment of the National Infrastructure Fund. Na katika gazeti hili watu wengi ambao wameweza kutoa maoni yao wameweza kuangaziwa katika gazeti hili, and they've given issues on how the funds were being mobilized. Na katika gazeti hili pia kuna swali ambalo limeweza kuulizwa on who ni nani aliweza kuweza kupeana the who was misled, ni nani alikuwa misled when this statement was given. And katika gazeti hili, during the said proceeding I mistakenly Mbadi said that during the said proceeding I mistakenly informed the committee that the National Infrastructure Fund has already been established as a limited liability company. And now he says that the National Infrastructure Fund was not incorporated, and also the name ambayo imeweza kupewa, it was not secured. And this is something ambayo imeleta mtafaruku, ni kwa sababu many of the people ambao wameweza kuangaziwa katika gazeti hili, they are citing other hidden agenda on the treasury na many other organs, and now it raises questions on accountability on different areas katika the governance system ya taifa letu. And we see that in a display of audacity that has come to define this saga, the CS who admitted of lying to parliament now wants the court to dismiss the case and stay out of the matter. The application is therefore misconceived, is unfounded. In fact, law is speculative and it is founded on a warranted fear. I ask the court to dismiss the same with costs, Mbadi declares. And this is something ambayo wananchi wa taifa letu la Kenya wanazidi kuliangazia, because it is something that is raising a lot of issues about public character, public information and other things ambazo zimekuwa cited in the Standard. Angela, what do you have to say about this? Because when you hear such a high, because you know recently there was an issue about watu ambao walikuwa wanasema that most of the cabinet secretaries are now doing politics. And now when you hear something like this, is it a political process or?
You know, remember this thing was introduced by Mbadi, and he said that this is part of the Vision 2030, and also it's part of the dream to Singapore. And they say that we are trying to become like Singapore, because they say the National Infrastructure Fund, it's something that even Singapore itself has, lakini ya Singapore inaitwa that is the National Sovereign Fund. That is the name ya Singapore, that's how it's called. And also it felt like you're doing a copycat, but now akisema that he lied, and you remember that he was the one defending it, saying that it's supposed to bring that is a development when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to the transport sector, expect that it's going to improve and also improve the livelihood of Kenyans. So it means that I don't want to say that he cannot be trusted on such kind of matters, but when it comes to matters to do with transparency and also the public trust towards what he's doing and in that office, inaenda ikipotea.
And you know, there is something that is so interesting because this National Infrastructure Fund carries almost 80% of the amount that is given by the budget. So it carries 5 trillion. So are we questioning about where this money is going? Because it is something ambayo imeweza kuangaziwa katika gazeti hili, and this is something that is so sad.
Yeah, something needs to be done. I don't want to say a reshuffle, but something needs to be done because hii ni pesa ya wananchi. Hii ni tax. Wananchi ameenda huko nje akafanya kazi, amelipa tax, and then why would you use this money the way you want? And the confidence anatoa wapi ya kusema I lied? Why did you lie?
We need to have accountability.
We need to have accountability. And we talk about lies also on the Daily Nation, that is page 1. I can see there is a story, a fraud case about that is the NSSF and the teachers circle, and that the NSSF is the National Social Security Fund, and the Kenya's retirement savings body, and a teachers circle that is saving and credit a cooperative society. Now there is a fraud case that is ongoing hapa, and ukiangalia story back then, workers were supposedly used in a land deal that was not genuine or properly executed, meaning that the contribution meant for retirement could be lost. Hii ni pesa ya wananchi bado. And in addition to that is page 1 of the Daily Nation. It reads that NSSF sold fake land to teachers' circles, and that is why workers will lose twice. So I really don't know. Imambo yote, I believe it's something that they wrote down on paper. I don't know if they did not do a research of it. And in addition, it reads that a fraudulent land deal will see workers who have saved money with the National Social Security Fund lose millions of shillings. NSSF bought the land illegally and sold it to the circle. A court has revoked that deal and ordered NSSF to refund that cash. So are they really going to refund that cash? Because ukiangalia hapa, they're saying that it was illegal, and it means that the land deal wasn't legitimate as it is supposed to be, and that's why they're saying that workers could lose their money twice. That is both pension and the contribution are expected value from the land investment. This is the investment when it comes to that land itself. So the story is on page 8. Let's check it out. Page 8 of the Daily Nation, and there is a statement from court. It reads that illegality. Court says public land cannot be privatized without degazettement. Okay, so probably this is something that they could have observed first before buying that land. And in addition to that, that's why NSSF are ordered to refund teachers' circle a fraudulent land deal, and evidence produced in court revealed that the property had been gazetted as Kenyan's prison land on December 18th, that is 1963. However, this is something that is fake. And in addition to that, there is a statement. The court declared the titles null and void, affirming that the land remained public prison property, ordering NSSF to refund the circle the full purchase of the price plus the interest, because don't forget, this is an investment that they had made, both the value, the face value, plus that is the pension fund itself. And ukiangalia, but they've given different statements when it comes to, that is, the land is 24.7 acres. That's quite big. 24.7 acres. So let's see what will happen if the NSSF, they're going to refund, that is the teacher's circle. and that is a lot. And the National Security Fund building in Nairobi, the fund has been ordered to be fund has been ordered to refund the circle, that is 50.1 million. It was paid for that land. That is what the court said. 50.1 million, my lord, with this economy. And there are different statements that have been given here. And when it comes to that story of fraud, and that is nullities are nullities, and no good title could come out of nullities. That is what the court said. Actually, the land is not 24.7 acres, is 98.8 acres of land. So that's big, but I hope something will be done about it. And the people who are involved in this, sheria inafaa ichukuliwe mikononi, because it's not a good thing when it comes to the social impact. It means that workers and teachers may protest or demand, that is the aspect of accountability from leaders of NSSF and the circle itself. And don't forget, si walimu peke yake wako involved na NSSF, even that is the Kenyan citizens. How is the money safe if this is what is happening? So in simple terms, we can say that people are worried that part of their hand and pension and money might be lost because of dishonesty and such kind of matters. So let's see what will happen, Eric, because it's not a good thing. Yeah.
And in the Standard page 3, we have a very interesting story, because wakati ambapo ajali imefanyika, I don't know what we always do, because we are in an era of social media. And katika gazeti hili, there is something that is so interesting, because we see a champion here, that Nandi chopper accident victim died in my arms. That is the headline. Jepto, 22-year graduate from Kendu School of Medical Science, just a month ago, said that the experience was unlike anything that he encountered training. And this is a story ambayo imeweza kufanyika on the weekend, wakati ambapo that chopper crash iliweza kufanyika. And we saw that Jepto, who is a graduate of Kendu School of Medical Sciences, was there and helped some of the victims ambao waliweza kutoka katika mkasa ule wa ndege. And it is something that we need to celebrate as Kenyans, because many of us huwa tunaenda tu pale kupiga picha, but katika gazeti hili tumeweza kuangaziwa ya kwamba Jacobeth Jepto was in the scene of that helicopter crash, and he was able to assist some of the victims ambao walitoka katika ndege ile, na aliweza kuwapa some of them and katika gazeti hili wameangazia even one of them who was able to survive for 30 minutes after the crash, na akaweza compare first aid. And what began as an ordinary Sabbath day for Jacobeth Jepto turned tragic later. Jepto recalled that she and her mother failed to return to church afternoon service because of the heavy rains that were present in those places. Na katika gazeti hili wanasema pia they managed to extinguish the fire and pull out the bodies, but 2 men were unfortunately already dead at this point. Na Jepto, who is a graduate from Kendu School of Medical Science just a month ago, could only rely on the first aid kit skills he had acquired during her diploma in nursing training. Na katika gazeti hili wameweza kuangazia some of the things ambazo aliweza kufanya, and it is suspected that 2 men either jumped from the helicopter amid air and thrown out when it struck the fourth troop. And Jepto aliweza kusema ya kwamba she was frightened, but he had to do whatever she could, and she says that I remember that what one of my lecturers, Betty, taught me: if you cannot add days to the patient's life, you can at least help them to die peacefully. And I believe the victim tried to be I tried to help died peacefully. And katika gazeti hili umeweza kuangaziwa that the incident, some of the concerns ambaye aliweza kuraise is that the incident devastated me during my clinical placement. I've never encountered such a tragic scene. And he also expressed disappointment because she also expressed disappointment at some onlookers who chose to take photographs and share them on social media instead of helping. And this is something that it is so recommendable, because Jacobeth Jepto is one of the first people ambao waliweza kufika katika mkasa ule, na aliweza kusaidia some of the victims ambao walitoka katika ndege, the plane crash ambayo iliweza kufanyika katika eneo hilo. And this is something that is so recommendable, and we want to celebrate Jacobeth Jepto because this is something that is so humane.
Okay.
Angela.
And I think people should emulate that, especially Kenyan citizens.
Yeah,
it's a good thing. And another story is something that has been happening, that is international matters. That is page 20 of the Daily Nation, but I think it was among the highlights. Page 1 of the Daily Nation, before you head over to page 20, it reads that oil, gas prices rise as Iran war disrupts that is shipping. You know, kuna vita yenye inaendelea huko. There's a conflict that is and it connects us to that is the widening of geopolitical crisis that is in the Middle East, especially involved Iran after clashes with the US and Israel, and a critical shipping route, wanaita the Strait of Hormuz, has disrupted, and that route normally carries about 20% of the world's oil and gas trade. So this something that is going to affect, that is matters to do with pricing oil itself, and that's with the current situation. Ukiangalia now, that is page 20, it reads that conflict oil prices have risen more than 15% since last week Friday, and global energy costs soars as Iran crisis hits the supply lines that I have just read. And in addition to that, the report shows that the route is almost shut or heavily restricted, which means that the tanker ships are stuck, rerouting or avoiding the area altogether. So I don't know what will happen about this, because this is a geopolitical issues. This is something, I don't know if you can say that is beyond control, but 15%, that's high, because wakisema imepanda na that is 15% since last Friday. That is high, and you know it's going to affect people. That is when it comes to matters to do with finances. But what let's see what will happen. And you know, this is bringing a great impact. Even inflation itself, it's being affected, because it means that higher oil and gas costs increase the prices of goods and services, because matters to do with the transport and production cost itakuwa affected. Kumaanisha hata inflation yenyewe, it might rise, because if production is affected, it means that pia the transport sector will be affected. Na pia later, that is economic stress, not only in Kenya, even in other countries they're being affected, because countries that import a lot of oil could see bigger national deficits, we can say that, and higher living cost. Na pia is affect that is investor and market impact, because energy markets become more volatile, if that is the term that we can use, and stock markets can react negatively based on the uncertainty in what we are experiencing right now. And I don't know what will be done about this, because if oil supplies goes down or get more expensive, it means that fuel at the pump goes up, and basic goods becomes that is costlier, because transport costs it increase. So I don't know what you have to say about this as a Kenyan citizen. Love to hear from you. Yeah,
that is something that is raising a lot of concerns, because transport is one of the major things in our in major sector in our republic. And in the Standard page 15, we have something that is so interesting here, that proposal to end permanent and pensionable terms for civil servant, but reconsider it. And this is something that is going to affect over 1 million Kenyans. And katika gazeti hili wameweza kuangazia, the government plans to move civil servants from permanent and pensionable terms to service of 5-year contract. And the proposal by Public Service CS Geoffrey Ruku is set to be presented to cabinet, and will affect over 1 million workers. This will touch many lives, which is why President Ruto should look at it critically before approving it. Na katika gazeti hili wameweza kuangazia some of the things ambazo zimekuwa zimeweza kuangaziwa katika mswada huu ambao and it is a proposal ambayo imeweza kupelekwa for approval to the president, and this is something ambayo italeta a lot of problems because katika gazeti hili wameweza kuangazia because many of the Kenyans ambao wako in they are employed by different sectors and even the government, many of them are having their permanent and having permanent and pensionable terms. And this is something, if this proposal is going to be approved, kama vile imeangaziwa katika gazeti hili, it is something that is going to affect many of the Kenyans ambao wameandikwa in public sectors and different other sectors. And first, this proposal can be greatly used by president to intimidate civil servants, which timeline being 5 years, it will allow head of state to make appointment. And this is something ambayo imeweza raise a lot of concerns because some of the people ambao wameweza kuangaziwa katika gazeti hili, they state that this is something that can be politically used because the 5-year term can be used for political can be used to push political ambitions because the appointments, for instance, of high profile positions in different government sectors will be taken politically because it will be given on appointments. And katika gazeti hili pia wameweza kuangazia further, the big question is what happens to the pension benefits already accumulated, and this is something ambayo imeweza kuzoa tumbo joto, ni kwa sababu many of the people ambao wamekuwa their civil servants, what will happen when they will if this proposal will be approved by the president, how will they receive their pensions that it has been accumulated over the years? And that is one of the biggest questions that is being asked in the standard page 15. And with the changes, how about the members of the National Police Service, NPS? Will they also be subjected to a contract basis? Imagine having a trained police officer out of service and back to the society as an employed civilian. This is something that needs to be relooked on, ambapo imeweza kuangaziwa katika gazeti hili, and some of the people and sectors ambazo zitakuwa affected it stated here, and this is something ambayo najua itazua tumbo joto, Angela. Yeah. Because when you see that if this at this moment we are almost going for elections. Mm-hmm. So if this proposal is itakuwa passed by the president ama itakuwa gazetted now, mm-hmm, from the state into a law, mm-hmm, it is something that is going to affect a lot of Kenyans because we see 1 million Kenyans, mm-hmm, who have been employed in permanent and pensionable terms, mm-hmm, having that 5-year contract, mm-hmm, and tumeangaziwa hapa katika gazeti hili that it can be used politically. Mm-hmm. So what do you think about this? Because it is something that is affecting many of Kenyans ambao wameamka kwenda kazi leo. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think they should explain to Kenyan citizens, mm-hmm, is it a political move or is it something that is strategic? As, mm-hmm, you said, 1 million Kenyans being affected, ni watu wengi sana. Yeah. So something needs to be done and they need to relook because I believe even the office of the president, he has more, mm-hmm, than 50 advisors. Wafanye kazi yao.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. And when it comes to the education sector, that is page 10, you know, Kenya has faced that is a worrying trend where students in schools have died under circumstances that, according to the parents, are advocacy groups. According to the parents and advocacy groups, could have been prevented with better safety measures. And this is not an isolated issue. It concerns over school safety that have been ongoing, that is in the recent years. And that's why ukiangalia the current situation, page 10 of the Daily Nation, Wameka actually in red. The action ministry urged to develop and implement learner safety emergency response framework, that is when it comes to the schools, and lobby sounds alarm of learner safety following death in schools. And in this term, ukiangalia we have that is 8 students who have died in this term itself, and tuko term 1. So I don't know where we are heading as a country. It means that the Ministry of Education needs to do something. And in addition to that, groups say that due to reluctance by school authorities, some learners died following delayed medical intervention. I don't know, you as a parent, what do you have to say about it, or you're a teacher watching us somewhere, what do you have to say about it? They have related different stories, and this comes after this comes a week after parents stormed Moi Comprehensive School in Nakuru City, carrying the body of a learner into the school compound. The child had allegedly collapsed at the school and taken to the hospital, but was pronounced dead on arrival. The parents accused the institution of negligence, demanding accountability from both school authorities and the Ministry of Education. And that's ukiangalia, that is the civil society network expressed outrage over the loss of lives, citing failures in safety, supervision, emergency preparedness, and institution accountability when it comes to the school. It further accused the government of failing to enforce safety standards in schools, saying this has led to systematic negligence and weak emergency response mechanism in the schools that we're having, that is across the country. And they have highlighted that is a number 8, the number of learners who have died, that is this term. And it means that something needs to be done. This is not a good thing. It's something that is alarming. You can agree with me, it's something that is alarming, and it's bringing a great impact, because kumekuwa that is when it comes to the public, it's raising that is concerns over school safety. And this is has heightened that is anxiety for parents whose children are in boarding in day and boarding schools. And at least we can say it's putting that is pressure on the government. There may now be increased pressure in the Ministry of Education and safety authorities to review that is protocols, infrastructure, coaching of the teachers, medical response, and overall learner protection. And probably there might be potential policy changes when it comes to the schools that we're having that is in our country, because that is the Daily Nation. There's a statement that reads, every parent entrusts a child to a school with a legitimate expectation of safety, safety care, and protection. No parent should receive a call that their child has lost their life due to delayed response, poor supervision, and negligence. Any minute lost during emergency can mean difference between life and death. That is a statement from Mr. Waroko. So I would say this is a call to action, that is when it comes to the school authorities and the Ministry of Education as well.
Yeah, in the Standard, page 15, we have a very interesting story here, because katika taifa la Kenya tunaambia kwamba the government haina pesa. It is something that we've recently seen politicians ambao wamekuwa wakisema hivyo, and the revelation that State House extravagance appealing. The revelation that 123 million was spent on State House public holidays buffet should disturb every Kenyan struggling in rising taxes, school levies, hospital bills, and soaring cost of basic commodities. And this is something ambayo may let a lot of concerns, because we see a lot of Kenyans wameweza kuangaziwa katika gazeti hili that many of them are struggling. But now it is a revelation that 123 million was spent on State House public holiday buffet. You can imagine. And we are constantly reminded that the country is broke, taxes are have gone up, subsidies withdrawn, and development funds stretched, yet money is readily available for banquets, and 123 million can be spent on holidays. How many classrooms could have been built? How many bursaries could have been supported? Public holidays deserve dignity and organization, but dignity is not extravagance. Kenya faces economic strain, ballooning debt, and youth unemployment. This optic of opulence at State House risk deepening public anger. you can imagine, Angela.
It's very sad, and you know what is clicking in my mind? How many people do we have in the semi-arid areas who are sleeping hungry? You know, they don't have food. They're suffering because of malnutrition, but they're spending all that money on food. Yet we are saying that we are heading to Singapore, and we are not working on the gap that is there between that is the rich and the poor. Yeah, those people are sleeping hungry. Yet tunasema hakuna pesa, taxes zikuwe ziongezeke. They need to, I don't know who keeps the state house in check, but something needs to be done.
Yeah, very true. That's
not a good thing at all. And as we wind up, that is page 1 of the Daily Nation, matters to do with politics. There's a storm of a Linda Mwananchi party, and the question is, who is financing Linda Mwananchi party? Wanatoa wapi hizi pesa for the political rallies and everything? And then umetokea, that is a picha ya ODM, chungwa limekatanishwa mara mbili. Okay. And the storm of a Linda Mwananchi party, a twist plot of they're calling twist, a plot to transform Linda Mwananchi, a campaign slogan coined by perceived ODM rebels, into a party has sparked bitter row between rival orange factions on the real sponsors of the initiative. Who are these people sponsoring these campaigns of this party? This a party that is Linda Mwananchi, and is it the rebels' fallback plan, a hostile takeover by rivals, or a business venture or political brokers? So this is a question that is being asked here, and I can see there are different statements that is from naona hapa kuna there are two groups wamegawanishwa. We have that is Gladys Wanga, and she says Linda ground, they should declare the intention since their rallies have abandoned ODM colors. They should come out clear on their real intentions in light of this application to form a new political party. And then you can see there is a statement from that is Babu Owino and Edwin Sifuna. Linda Mwananchi, this is a move. This movement is bigger than a day. Okay. They have taken the letter of the law, but the spirit of the law is still within the people. The movement is not in the name. It's within the people. So this is something that is very interesting. I don't know what you think about this as a Kenyan citizen. I really don't know what you think about this, because we can see that some counties are trying to stop rallies, but Sifuna Public rejected that is restrictions as anti-democratic. And then matters to do with that is the questioning of where they're getting the funds, and some people are angry because they're saying when they have been overfunding when it comes to the movement and the campaign activities. So this is bringing a great impact when it comes to that is political realignment, because if Linda Mwananchi turns from a slogan into an actual party, it could reshuffle Kenya's political landscape by offering alternative to Kenya's two big party coalitions. We have that is the Kenya Kwanza, and then we have that is the United Opposition. So let's see what will happen, because you know that is the controversy depends divisions within the ODM party and potentially weakening the bargaining power into the national politics. Yeah, that is what is happening in politics. Now
as we wind up, there are many stories in the Standard, and some of the stories zimekuwa highlighted hapa katika gazeti hili. We have a stories about Governor Sakaja and the politics ambayo inaendelea kule Nairobi, and you see there is an impeachment plan looming, and also there are other stories ambazo utaweza kuzipata katika gazeti lako. And the NURU morning show at this current affair segment is proudly brought to you by Mizpah Prayer Center, a great place for prayer, fasting and spiritual renewal. And Mizpah Prayer Center is still open to individual ministry teams and all different prayer groups for all denomination. For booking, accommodation and other inquiries, you will call on the number 0727 766 553. Angela, what do you have to say to our viewers as we wind up?
A big thank you for tuning in for today's shows. We're really honored knowing that someone out there has tuned in to what that is the current affairs. We're always here every morning to making sure that you stay updated of what is happening that is in our country and beyond. May God bless you abundantly and have a productive day.
Yeah, thank you so much for all our viewers who have been part of this morning show. Tunashukuru sana kwa utazamaji wenyu, and thank you for those who've sent their feedback on our SMS line on 0799 200 100, and thank you for those who are following us through all our social media platforms at Mizpah TV Kenya. May you have a blessed and a fruitful day.